its best.
Your
Tim,
producer has failed you again. I'm sorry.
Tim, that was when you were supposed to crack the mic there. We talked about this in the commercial.
Yeah,
break.
nobody told me. I should have had my DJ stuff out. I could have
I know.
scratched this into the show.
In the studio, we got Tim Meadows. He is a huge star, and he's playing Penguins tonight. That show sold out. We have 9 tickets left for tomorrow's show, so you better get them quick. You better get them now because it's going to be a great show. So,
And now we have 7. Sorry.
and now we have 7. Yeah, exactly.
Change the tote board.
Yeah, right. They just keep going down. So many stories to talk to you about, but a favorite movie of ours, of course, The Ladies' Man. And what was it like to see that character evolve and then have a chance to make a movie? I mean, it had to be one of the biggest parts of your career.
It was to see it go from being literally was a voice that I did to make crank phone calls. So to see it go from that to even now to it being this thing that people still ask me about right now is pretty remarkable. Because it was a voice that I did. I would never did it. I would never do it on the show because I would crank phone call people that I knew that was on the show.
Sure.
And they didn't know it was me.
That's perfect.
And so
That's
for
sweet.
me to do the show character on the show was me sort of
revealing
who
taking
it
off
was.
the mask of the secret identity, the Lone Ranger.
And so I told a couple of the writers, Andrew Steele, Dennis McNicholas, this story about how I pulled off this prank phone call on the radio show over the summer while we were away from the show. And they first were teasing me that like other actors on the show were making movies over the summer, but my project was making phone calls.
Like a 14-year-old kid from Detroit again.
And I was
Right, yeah, exactly.
like, I told this story on Seth Meyers' show, and he goes, "Were you on the show when this happened?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "So you were in your 20s, you were making prank phone calls." But I did. So I told him I did this long, elaborate prank phone call over the summer, like literally 2 months of calling a radio station. And then I told the writers about it, and they asked me how did I get away with it, and I said, "Well, I did this voice. You know, the guy, he talked like this, and he's very smart, but he had a very distinct rhythm to the way he talks." And then they both, because they shared an office, and they both looked at each other, and then they go, "Don't tell anybody else about that character."
Yeah.
Like, we want it. We want it.
We do that stuff here at the radio.
And so I left, went to my office, and then literally 10 minutes later, they knocked on my door and said, "We're going to do a radio call-in show where he gives love advice, but like his advice is really bad." It's almost as if a guy who was a player from the 70s had his own show.
Exactly.
And so that was all their idea. And then they would just ask me questions, and I would just improvise answers. They would write jokes too, but a lot of it was sitting in their office, me laying on the floor, and they asked me questions, and I would just look up at the ceiling and just say stuff.
Who came up with the nun called in, the missionary? Talk about that. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Was that one of your lines that you came up with, or did the writers write that one?
Which line? I know the scene you're talking about.
The scene where you nunning it up.
Oh,
Nunning It Up. Yeah.
was improvised, actually.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. But the scene itself, the whole radio station thing was written, I think both of those guys wrote that. But yeah, when we were filming it, I just was like improvising. But this is it was an older actress. So she was Canadian, and she had no idea what she was doing. She had no idea the character was. That was really fun. Thank you for remembering that.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
Yeah, look at you over there nunning it up.
You get a little slow jam going, and that advice, I mean, honestly, was the kind of thing that it was just. Well, it was purely.
You're from Detroit, but do you remember the Electrifying Mojo?
Oh yeah, Mojo.
Yes.
He's a great DJ.
He was a
man.
DJ.
He's got that deep resonant voice. And
Yeah.
He just,
And his whole radio show was that he was in a spaceship landing in Detroit for the night, and he was going to like
mothership,
light the city up. But a lot of my original doing that voice was based on the way he would talk and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because he could get really like the Electrifying Mojo was very low. He was like almost like the
master
quiet
of space
storm.
and time. Yeah. He definitely. Yeah.
I'm here to blow your mind. Mojo is landing the mothership right here on the Ren Center.
Well, one more thing I want to bring up here, just to switch gears a little bit. Your tenure at 30 Rock, doing the Saturday Night Live, what was that like? I don't even know what first question I should ask, but you spent a lot of time on the set there, worked with some very famous people, some very talented people, but sum that experience up for us in just a couple of
words?
A couple of words. Besides awesome.
Deo Donut? How about that? That's what it was like.
So fame and fortune, not so much. Dale Donuts, yeah.
No, that's a good analogy. Deo Donuts, because the show had already been around for a while, so it was old. And you go into it thinking, oh, I'm gonna, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna change it, and then you realize that you're just another contributor in a long line of contributors.
But a very enriching one, because the characters that you played and the roles you were able to take on, they were, every time.
Yeah, I mean, literally,
they were pivotal to the success during that period of time. Because Saturday Night Live has had its ups and downs and everything, but you have definitely been a high point. You played with so many great characters.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I was there during the transition from between a couple of different casts,
and everybody from Phil Hartman to my gosh, so many,
until we got to Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry and that crew,
and Tina Fey
too. Yeah, she was a writer when I was there. But yeah, I mean, it was, it's like literally going to grad school, because
it ups your game.
It does, and you're working with people that are just as good, if not better than you, and so you end up stepping up because you realize you got to do your best every week. And some weeks are better than others, But it was hard. It was fun. It was rewarding. I remember Chris Rock said one time, and he was right. It was the best time in our lives, because we were young, we were rich, and we were living in New York. And it was like, and you were on the #1 TV show in New York.
Wow.
So it was like, you couldn't get. I was never miserable during those years. Like, I was never miserable. I was pretty much happy. And then the misery comes later.
All right. Well, I think we should play a song.
Okay. Can you stick around for just a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do a quick song here.
We're gonna let Leon intro it. It's "The Car Is My Best Friend's Girlfriend." You ready? Go ahead.
Yeah, listen. You are listening early in the morning. This is Leon Phelps. I just want to tell you that the day is gonna be beautiful. It's cold and sunny, just like my spirit. So here's the Cars singing
My Best Friend's
My
Girl.
Best Friend's Girl.
Who is that? That was good.